Hey, this is Stephen Van Kampen-Lewis. It's April 26th, about 1:30 in the afternoon, and I am gonna do a quick tour of my greenhouse. I wanted to post a video last week on Sunday, but my appendix had other ideas. So I had emergency surgery on Monday to have it out, which is why I was not able to post a video last week. But anyway, I'm up and about again. And since I'm not allowed to really lift anything heavy for a couple of weeks, I figured instead I would just show you around and give a quick tour of my grow space and show you guys what I'm doing and kind of what's going on at this moment. So I'm, as you can see, I'm in my backyard. My house is behind me. You can kind of see the pump house over here where our rainwater collection is funneled and then moved into the house. So I'm going to start at the outside of the greenhouse. I'll show you quickly my collection tank for water is also rainwater collection. And you can already see behind me the rack where the Cataseums will go right here once they start growing. And then we'll jump into the greenhouse. So let's get to it. So I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but this is a 2,500 gallon rainwater catchment tank that's attached to a little shed here. The previous owners were rebuilding old Mustang GTs in here, and I have repurposed it into an orchid house. And so all of the rainwater that comes off this house keeps this tank pretty much full all the time. And it's great to have A, free water, and B, rainwater. Real quick, here is the Cataseum rack. I can show you a picture of that as well when it's full of Cataseums. Here, I'll post it here right now. But as you can tell, it's empty right now because everybody is still in the greenhouse. So let's walk over. So it's about 1:30 in the afternoon, and everything is getting hammered with direct Texas sun. So as you can see, the front of the greenhouse we're about to walk into faces due south, and that's where a lot of the sunshine comes in. You can see I've got the 40% aluminate shade cloth on top there, sort of at the front end. As you can see, my cats walking in. On the other side will be the north side, so it's got a lot less sun, and I'm less worried about the sun coming through that part. So that's why the shade cloth is at the front end and not so much the back end. So I got a couple experiments going on here. Here's a bog garden, but more importantly to the orchid people, here is my Serta podium collection, and I've got a Neobenthemia gracilis in here. This particular plant here is the Serta podium St. Ledrianum. That's kind of fading out, as you can see. I did pollinate some of these guys. I did self this one, so I'm hoping to have pods going here fairly soon. This is the Serta podium holstii here that I had in a video a couple weeks ago, and you can see this is a nice little pod growing here, so hopefully that'll get potted up, in about a year, I guess. I've got a punctatum right here, which is just starting to open up, and it looks great. It's actually interesting to see the punctatum next to the St. Ledrianum, and you can see the size difference of the two. Even as the St. Ledrianum there on the right is folding up, it's still way bigger than the punctatum there on the left. And here's the greenhouse itself. This is 90% orchids, and I've got a few nepenthes down here on the bottom. But this is my nobilior rack up here on top. I have one that's still hanging on there. I did self this one as well. This is the Nobilior alba. Very difficult to find one of these guys, and it's got a pod growing here, as you can see. And let me take you around back to that Cerulean, which I selfed. And I've got a big fat pod. This is about a month old, so this thing should get humongous. And then I've got my Cataseums down here on the floor on that rack. As you can see, everyone's just waking up from dormancy. So no one's ready to be watered yet. you know, my schedule is that I'm basically getting everything watered by Memorial Day, which is at the end of May. Mentioned that before, but you know, everybody's doing well and cranking. Underneath my main orchid bench here is my cat, one, that's Dallas, and then my sensor push here. I have this under the bowl here, and that is how I measure my temperature and humidity over time. Sensor push is a great little device. I love it. I think it was like $100, and it tells me what the temperature is in my greenhouse all day long and the humidity, and I can track that over time. It puts out graphs. It's a great little device, and you know, here in Texas we get crazy cold and then crazy warm, so being able to know exactly what my temperature is at any given moment is incredibly useful, especially for a brand new greenhouse like this. So this greenhouse I got for free. A friend of a friend was having their home demoed because they're in a flood zone in Austin, and they didn't want this greenhouse anymore, and so they said, hey, here, you can have this. And we've made a few modifications. In the back you can see I added a fan, which is great in winter time. I found that, you know, in the winter time I don't have any Illuminate shade cloth on, and a 65-degree day translates, in full sun, translates into 105 degrees here in the greenhouse. So having that fan, again, I think that was less than $100. Having that kick on, you can see right there is where the temperature is. So it's automated, so you can program it. And so when it comes to 85 degrees, that fan kicks on, pulls in air from this lower vent down here, and cools off the greenhouse. And it's incredibly useful because, you know, 65 degrees is easily exceeded most of the winter here in Central Texas. I've got some seedlings here growing. This is Cattleya General Pow that my friend Cecily made. 2 Cerulean parents. Not entirely sure that the Cerulean is the same gene on both parents, so they might just turn out TPO, but looks like they're getting a little crispy in here. I'll probably have to water them soon. In fact, I made a video about these guys. They're doing well and still cranking. Little Mexipedium here. It just wrapped up blooming about a month ago. I repotted it into sand, you know, sort of last fall, I guess, and overall it's doing well. We'll see. I had it just in fine orchiata, but I never really saw good root growth going into the orchiata, so I wanted to get sand. Some of the better looking specimens I've seen online are sand. More seedlings. This was a flask of Cattleya Latigesia that I got from Brian Monk, I guess about a year ago, and they're really doing nicely. Again, everybody's looking a little crispy. Got some Cattleya Walkeriana imports here from friend Luis, and as well as from Floralia down there in South America. And some intermediate grown Cattleyas, or intermediate aged Cattleyas. Most of these are unbloomed. You can see that I've got Cattleya Tropical Pointer Cheetah, and as you can see, it's a nice dark color since it's getting just blasted by light. But I chopped this guy up into about 5 or 6 pieces that I sold, and I kept one small piece for myself. And actually my friend Raphael over there at Taming the Orchid just chopped his up, and I sent him the original piece. And these things, if you ever get your hands on them, they grow like a weed, and they just bloom all year long. The blooms, as you can see, are basically, they kind of look like little violaceas, little spotted violaceas. Very, very cool. Easy grower, easy bloomer, just constantly blooming and growing. These are some of my more mature plants. These are all blooming size. This is a really great little mossy eye that I'm super excited. Excuse me, this is Varsavixii that I'm super excited to see bloom again. This is a little primary hybrid here they got locally. Again, lots of different Cattleya types. I'm trying to see if there's anything putting out buds right now, but I guess not. Some Varsavixii and Doianas in here. I got these two Doianas from Sunset Valley Orchids about a week ago, so I'm excited to see those grow. This is Amstelea africana right here. I grow this next to my Cattleyas. They seem to do just fine together. And this is the last faded bloom of my Cattleya amethysta glossa, the diploid that I made a video about some time ago. I do want to point out this monstrous new growth here on my, this is a primary hybrid between Laelia purpurata and Varsavixii called LC, or I guess just Cattleya Callista glossa. This is the alba one that you can find online. Beautiful, beautiful, really wonderfully fragrant. It got the size of the flowers from the Varsavixii, the growth habit, the upright growth habit of the purpurata, as you can see on these big club-shaped bulbs, and the scent of the purpurata, which to me smells like Fruit Loops. And I do notice a bloom spike coming up here. This is a Shambo hybrid. This will be the first time I've seen this one blooming. This is Bicolor by Tibacinus, I believe. I might be wrong on that, but it should be kind of cool. Both parents are alba. I got this from my friend Zach over there. Excuse me, Frank Zachariah over there in Louisiana. As you can see, I've taken the panels off the ends of the greenhouse here at the top to allow for air to just flow through on both sides. I'm hoping that when it's 105 outside, this does not cook and that this stays at a reasonable temperature. If not, I'll just have to move all my orchids underneath the oak trees like I had them last year. This is a little southern burner I got from my friend Drew. He's over there at Carnivorous Plants, and he just had one of these extra ones kicking around in his garage, so he sold it to me for a great price, and this really saved my butt this winter during our cold days. And finally, on the way out, this is my Walkeriana bench. Got sort of the larger ones in the back. This is obviously not Walkeriana. It's this is Cattleya lobata, actually, not labiata, lobata. It used to be Laelia lobata. And here are the Walkeriana, the smaller ones. And that's it. That's my grow space. Nothing really amazing, but I sure love it. Getting a little steamy out here, so I'm gonna head back inside and make this video and rest up. But hopefully next week next week, as of next Sunday, I'll be able to lift more than 10 pounds, and then we can get back to talking about some of the orchids. I can move them over to my table and we can have the normal discussions. Anyway, happy weekend.